Yeah.
That one looks more natural.
It's actually a decent angle.
Oh, you like that?
Well, I did until you messed it up.
Sorry. I was trying to fix it. There we go. That's where it was.
That's cockeye. A little crooked.
Just a little. I think it adds character. So, if you couldn't tell, we watched Halloween last night. Which I've seen before a long time ago. And I guess like the last time we watched it, like maybe we were with a group of people or had other people, so I wasn't really like paying attention to the movie as much as I was there just socializing. So it didn't like freak me out. Whenever you suggested it, I was like, oh, that's a good idea because it's an old movie, so it's not going to be that scary. I can watch it, go to bed, be fine. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like what I remembered at all. It was really good. Yeah. I give that movie a lot of credit for being so old and so good.
Yeah, it's a really well-made movie.
Yeah.
That I think a lot of people, because it gets lumped into
the cheesy slasher.
The slasher movies. Like, it
Yeah.
gets lumped in with, it's the sequels and stuff.
Yeah.
Go the Friday 13th route where they just kind of up the gore and let's make creative kills. And...
Yeah. Let's put them in space. Now they're in New York. Now they're all underwater.
Yeah, it doesn't go quite that far, but well, honestly, I think it goes further in a weird sort of way.
Don't they definitely go to Manhattan?
No.
Oh no, wait, that's Jason. Hang on.
Yeah, but I think the sequels gave this movie. Same thing with Godzilla. The first Godzilla movie is a legitimately good movie. It's a black and white, basically horror film. And then the sequels just devolved into rubber suit guys boxing each other, and that's why it got funny. But the first movie was really good. That kind of sucks that the original movie is kind of pulled into it. And
Yeah.
I feel like that's the same way with Halloween. The first movie is actually legitimately really good.
But it kind of gets pulled away into all of the cheesy cliches.
Yeah, exactly. Although I think Halloween saved itself a little bit because some of the latter movies are also decent. So
yeah, I don't remember. I know we went through where we were watching all of those slasher films. Like one Halloween, we marathoned a lot of them, and I remember we watched a lot of the Halloween movies, or I thought we did.
We watched all the Friday 13th movies.
We watched the Friday the 13th, and we watched some of Nightmare on Elm Street.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we had watched some more of the Halloween movies, but I don't remember them at all because I don't remember that movie being that scary.
Yeah, it's
like, and it wasn't even so much that it was like jump scare, like, you know, made you jump. It was just the uneasy feeling through the whole movie.
Yeah.
Because the whole movie, it's like, Michael Myers is in the entire movie. It's not like he just shows up at the end. From the first scene, like, he's there, and he's in every scene almost. You know, you see him in the background, he's watching through windows, he's driving around in his car, you see his car pass by, like...
Yeah.
So it's just kind of weird how, like, he's there through the whole movie. So the whole movie, you're just waiting for him to do something.
Most horror movies, like, start out with, like, oh, it's the normal day, and they have, like, the happy music or whatever playing, and you see your people, like, your main characters going through
Anytime there was music playing, it was, like, the uneasy, eerie, like...
Yeah, you see them, like, going through their normal life, and it, like, builds up to it. This movie started out, and even while you're watching Laurie, Annie, and then the other one that says totally all the time.
Oh, what was her name?
I don't remember.
Mickey?
No.
Nancy.
But as you're watching them go through their normal life, or their normal daily routine.
Linda. Her name was Linda.
That's it, yeah, Linda. It's like from the whole time you're hearing that uneasy music, you're seeing him watching him. There's like amazing scene I talked about that I saw was when Annie and Laurie are driving their car. And then Michael Myers' car pulls out behind them, and you see it behind them, and then the radio starts playing Don't Fear the Reaper.
Yeah.
And I was like...
Probably all he can do. What's the pumpkin for?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my, like I got chills. I've watched this movie so many times, and I never caught that, but that second that scene kicked on, it was like...
And like you feel like that was something that was planned, because whenever they first get in the car, it's playing some like 50s doo-wop, like happy, like at the bop, like kind of. And then it's just like as soon as the car pulls around, it switches and it's Don't Fear the Reaper while he's driving behind them.
Yeah, it's super good.
One of the first notes that I got on there was, I feel like whenever they're teaching like sex education in high school and they're trying to tell kids like, hey, don't have sex, they should just make them watch slasher films and let them know like, hey, if you have sex with your boyfriend, you're gonna get murdered. Because every murder happened when somebody was having sex or right after they had sex. Like...
Yeah, I think
every
you're right.
Every single murder in that movie happened that way.
Which is surprisingly low. It's like
he only killed, what, 4 people?
Mm-hmm. And it was 3. He killed Annie and then
2 best friends and the boyfriend and then his sister.
Oh, he killed his sister. I forgot his sister.
I remember she was having sex.
It just
Or it
got
just
done.
finished.
Yeah, by 6-second Tom.
But yeah, I wrote down 6-second Bill. Because literally the whole first scene was done in one take. Like, they didn't stop filming. They just followed him around. And they're standing at the side of the house, and you see them. They're like, ooh, let's go upstairs. And, so they go upstairs, and the kid walks around the side of the house, comes in, and as he's coming in the door, he's leaving, and he's like, all right, that was fun. I'll see you next time.
The most realistic.
I was like, well, that's accurate.
That whole opening scene. And you always hear it's like, oh, it's one take. It's done really good. But then you think about, like, all that has to go into that scene.
How hard that is. Everything has to be timed so perfectly.
Mean, when he's coming around the corner, they have to be having that conversation about, like, oh, it just finished. I'm leaving. Like, having that conversation. So then he leaves, and then he's got, like, all... And then when he's leaving the house and the car pulls up, like, all of that... Obviously, there's a couple parts where they might have, like, when he's putting on the mask, they probably cut there and made a new scene. But, like, so there could be, like, parts where they're cutting the camera. But for 78, 79, when this movie came out, like, that is amazing that they did that. And, like, all one take, all synced up, like, the amount of...
Yeah, it looked really good.
Yeah, the amount of, like, attention to detail throughout that whole opening scene was just insane.
Yeah, so we were supposed to be taking notes through this whole thing, and, like, I don't know if you can see... That's
I'm
all
not
I
showing
got.
my notes because my handwriting is god awful.
Yeah, no, mine is
too.
All I have written down is opening 10 out of 10, very uneasy, because I did like the opening. Like, it was just like playing the credits. But there's like this creepy carved pumpkin that just kind of gets closer and closer, and then right as it gets to the camera, like the lights cut out. I don't know why that made me feel so like not okay.
It's the theme too.
It was just like the music and the pumpkin, how simple it was. Like, it was the little things that, like, they didn't have to go all out. And then I wrote, couples having sex almost died. Sex lasted 10 seconds. # 6 seconds Bill. I put 10 seconds because, like, there were other things that happened. So
You're right.
you had to calculate all of the time. So it was only 6 seconds, if that. Kids are creepy, and then one take first shot, which I'm guessing is for that, like, first shot all being in one take. I'm guessing that's why I wrote that. But that's all I wrote down, because after that I was just watching the movie.
Yeah.
I stopped working.
But the music definitely, like, made the movie. I don't know if the movie would have been as scary without the...
Another thing that I found really cool about the movie was that how there's no blood or gore. Like, they didn't use fake blood. So it was like they didn't need all of that to make the kills. I mean, I think one thing that we talked about last night was, like, the acting during the kills wasn't the best.
Are you fooling around again?
Yeah, that's the
like,
one.
the actors kind of, it was kind of funny
but
whenever they were dying.
It was made with a low budget, so it's like they couldn't hire.
And so there was kind of part of me that kind of felt like, well, even though it's cool to say, like, oh, they filmed this whole horror movie with no blood and no gore, I feel like a little bit of blood, it didn't have to be much. Like, it didn't have to be splattering all over the camera and have somebody's head come off,
Right.
But maybe just a little bit, just to make it look a little more realistic, would have helped. But through the whole movie, there was nothing. Yeah. Which I thought it was kind of cool in a way, but also it was like, I just feel like something would have made it a little bit more, because the kills were just kind of funny.
I think, to be fair, I think the kills were fine, and I don't think the film needed blood or anything. Mm-hmm. So I do disagree to an extent. I just think that the acting when the deaths were happening were either were way over the top.
Yeah.
So it kind of
I think they tried to overcompensate for the fact that they didn't have blood and gore.
But I like the ideas of the simpler kills because it makes it more realistic,
Yeah.
Like the idea that my favorite part about the movie is the fact that this guy that's killing, like, it's portrayed as just pure evil. This little gnat, I swear to God.
I was literally, you were smacking at
this little, like, it's just flying around me. But that Dr. Loomis goes the whole movie talking about Michael Myers and explaining him as, like, pure evil. He's calling him that for the whole movie. There's that whole scene which is, like, still gives me chills. When they return to the Myers house, the sheriff and Loomis, and he has that whole, like, dialogue talking about, like, the blankest of eyes or whatever.
I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes. I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up, because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
That whole scene is just, and then he eats that dog. They just find that, remember they're talking
it's just
about,
like, they didn't even have to show it. They just, like, pointed out, they're like, oh, there's a dog, it's still warm, and he's like, oh yeah, I guess he got hungry.
And the sheriff is like, no man would do this, and then
he's not a man.
Could have been a skunk. Could have.
wouldn't do that.
This isn't a man.
Yeah.
So they talk about him so much that you are expecting at the end when that mask comes off, it's gonna be like a monster or something monstrous, but it's just a normal guy in his 20s.
He just looked, and it was like whenever we were
Which is
doing
scarier,
the
honestly.
math, because like he killed his sister whenever he was 6, and then he spent 15 years in the mental hospital before he broke out. There it is. Nope, I missed it. 15 years in the mental hospital before he broke out. So he was only what 21.
Yeah,
21, 22. And so whenever the mask came off, like he just looked like a normal guy. Like there was no like weird effects to like make him look different in any way. He just looked like a guy. Like
just a normal, yeah.
I mean, his eye was bruised because he got stabbed with a knitting needle.
That's what I thought before. I'm like, oh, why is his eye all? But I'm like, oh, that's right. He just got stabbed in the eye. That's why his eyes all
I
messed
feel like
up.
that would mess up your eye pretty bad.
It just made it a lot more scary. That it's not just it's Jason, where it's a dead
And it was, like,
zombie going around killing people.
The conversation whenever he was saying that Loomis spent the first like 6 years trying to reach him and like trying to like figure out why he did it and like give him help and all that, and then he spent the next 6 years just trying to keep him locked up because he realized there was nothing left in him. Like there was no humanity, there was no, and it was just like they did so well explaining the character without going too deep, and it was just kind of like spread out throughout the movie.
Yeah.
So like every once in a while you would kind of get a conversation where like he would say something about that gave you more information about Michael Myers' character.
Yeah, it wasn't
but they
like
never
just,
like had a 45-minute explanation of like why he's the way he is and what happened. You
like
know,
an exposition just.
it was just like
where it's
little
just-
little comments every now and then.
And
Like,
that's all you needed. You
I
didn't
spent
need
7
a
years
lot of-
trying to keep him locked up. Like that's all they needed to say for me to be like, oh crap.
Yeah, you didn't need a ton of backstory information. Which the Rob Zombie movie, the remake, they do. Which I didn't mind the remake as much as a lot of people, but he did the first half with Mike Myers as a kid. So the whole first half of the movie is just following him as a kid, leading up to when he kills his sister. Then the last half of the movie is basically a remake of Halloween 1. So like the pacing is like kids, so you're following up. But to me, they overdo it by like he grows in an abusive house with his dad, who's just it's like just a trashy. His mom's a prostitute or whatever, and his sister's. So it's like he grew up in like a messed up house. They try to like explain it and give like more reason as to
Give
why
him
he's
reason as
so
to why
messed
he's like
up.
that.
But in the end, you don't need all that because the first movie did it well enough. It just gave us little information of what we needed. Also, like the fact that in this movie, Michael seemed like he just grew up with a normal household.
Yeah. Yeah, it just seemed like he was had a normal sister and normal parents who were out.
Which makes it creepier than giving him a reason as to why he's like this. He honestly almost like he didn't have a reason. He just is like this.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that makes me is that's like there's not a lot of money that went into it, but they had Donald Pleasance, who played Dr. Loomis, and
I don't know who he is, but I like Dr. Loomis, so.
the guy, a great actor, and then Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah. And she became big after that movie, right?
Yeah,
like,
this
that
was like her breakout
She
role.
did really good.
She was great, yeah. Like, you literally, like, you could really...
No,
she
I
seemed like
see
she
why
was
she
actually
became-
going to die.
yeah.
Like,
I
she
can
did a
see
good
why
job
she
with it.
became like really famous after that because she did really good. Like I'm not a big movie person like you are. I don't know directors, I don't know actors, I don't know what's going on with movies half the time. I don't really pay attention. But I can see that she is a good actress. Like I believed her role very, very much. I liked her.
Yeah, she was levels above.
I kind of laughed at first because like whenever she first came on, and like I said, like I've seen the movie before, I've seen Jamie Lee Curtis as a young person before, but she just has the same voice as she does old.
Yeah.
So like she still sounds like an old lady.
She still sounds like Jamie Lee Curtis.
She still
just,
sounds.
40
She still
years
looks
younger.
and sounds like her. Like there really wasn't that big of a difference. I mean, she looks great, but like there's not really that big of a difference between Jamie Lee Curtis then and Jamie Lee Curtis now. So I know after you left, like I had my door like barricaded. You saw how I booby trapped my back door with that stick.
I did. No, I really like this movie a lot. It's not my favorite John Carpenter movie. But
What would be your favorite?
did. I always talk about The Thing. I still love that movie.
So that's the one with the alien pretending to be people, right?
Yeah. It's like
Okay.
a mystery movie.
That was kind of the one that we were gonna watch soon.
Yeah.
I thought
But-
something was interesting was that like during the movie, there's like little bits of like they're watching The Thing on TV. And so, like,
Yeah.
there's little bits of it. And then you told me, like, that was his favorite movie. And he actually remade the movie a few years later.
Yeah.
So I thought that was just kind of a cool little, like...
It is. It's great. Like, that's so awesome
That,
for
like,
him.
throughout the movie, like, every time you're in the living room, like, The Thing was on TV. And they're talking about it throughout the
Yeah,
movie.
so him getting the opportunity to make a remake of that movie, and
Yeah.
in my opinion, doing a better job and actually surpassing the original. Some people disagree with me, but I feel like he did a better job.
No, overall, for it being such an old movie, it was very good. Again, I didn't remember it being that good, but it was good. Like,
I think the movie truly got like scary was when Annie and the other one, Linda, are both killed off when they're out of the picture, and it's just
and she realizes
Laurie.
what's going on.
Yeah, and it's just Laurie, Michael Myers, and then eventually, and that's another thing, is that's like the whole movie we're following Laurie and her friends, and then separately we're following Dr. Loomis.
Yeah.
And I love at the end of the movie how it all just comes to a head.
Yeah.
What's the boogeyman?
As a matter of fact, it was.
It's like, that's so awesome. It's like he's tracking Michael Myers. She
Michael Myers
has
is
him.
tracking. So one thing that they never explained was, why was Michael Myers tracking them?
Right.
So, like, what was his interest? Because, like, he came back to his old hometown. What was the draw to her and her friends? Was it something to do with them being the same age as maybe his sister was whenever he murdered her?
So that's what makes this movie, and they explain it in the sequels more, like going into depth of like why. But
Did John
in this
Carpenter
movie,
do the sequels as well?
John Carpenter wrote the second one.
Okay.
And I think he wrote the third one as well, but he wasn't a part of the he didn't direct anymore after this. This was the only one he directed, because after this one he didn't want to do anymore. And I think that's what makes this one so interesting, is the fact that they never explain it.
Yeah.
John Carpenter never, well, I guess technically he wrote away and kind of explained it a little bit, but he said even he hates the Halloween sequels because he hated writing them. He thought the first one should have ended it. It should have ended right there. And I agree with him. That eerie feeling, like that last shot of him just being gone when Dr. Loomis walks over and looks over the balcony and he's gone, and it's just his eyes darting back and forth of like, I heard somebody explain it as a mix between like,
oh crap,
and I knew this would happen.
Yeah.
Like it was just that, I don't know, I
like,
can't
I think he was
replicate
hoping
it,
to look down and still see him laying there.
but he knew it wasn't.
But it was
happen.
just like, man, like.
Yeah. And that
so
whole
crazy.
last feeling is it's like showing all the sets from the movie, like all the places that we've seen Michael Myers before, and just hearing the heavy breathing in the background as the Halloween themes go on. Man, it's chilling. Something about watching it last night like hit different. I think it hit different because we were paying attention more and like.
Yeah, I think so. And another thing, I think it's because I think the last time we watched it, we were at home with our parents, and so I think it was kind of a safety feeling of like, and then it was kind of like we were watching it in my house where I'm the only adult here.
Right. It didn't affect me very much. Like,
well, and
watching
then we left, and I was just home by myself. Like that.
I think whenever I
freaked me
watched
out.
it was like, wow, this movie hits different. Like, I think it hit different because you're paying attention more and looking for all the subtle things. Than, you know, just like casually watching it and be like, oh yeah, that was kind of silly.
Yeah.
But like watching it.
And I feel like the last time we watched it, like we watched it with other people or something, and we're just kind of like talking and joking through the whole movie.
Right.
But we didn't talk last night at all, hardly. I think we paused once or twice to kind of like talk about something, but we didn't really talk through the movie. Wow, you're real cool, buddy.
What'd I do?
I was yelling at
Not
you. I was looking out the window.
But what I was gonna say earlier, before I got off track, was just the whole idea of the fact that he didn't really have a reason. What was his reason for killing stalking these?
The only things I could think of was them being around the same age as his sister.
Right.
Like that was kind of the only reason that he was tracking those three girls specifically. Like it just, I don't know, it just seemed really weird. And it was like the only thing they had in common was that they were having sex. Like that was kind of the only.
He's probably an extreme Christian.
Premarital
sex.
How dare you?
Punished.
All this time, he wasn't an evil psychopath. He was just.
He was just a Christian psychopath.
We had them all wrong.
The best kill, and probably the most well acted kill, was Bob.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It wasn't.
It wasn't good, but it was better.
Yeah, it was just like the kill itself was. Well, I think the kill itself was good, holding him up and then stabbing him. I don't understand how he stuck to the wall and perfectly straight.
Yeah, that made no sense.
Like when he slumped over and fall off the. But it was just after it happened, as kind of weird as it looked. It was just the fact that Michael Myers, like him stepping back,
step back, yeah,
and like cocked his head, like he was like admiring it or something.
Yeah.
Like he was just like, I don't know. There was just that one look was just.
It was kind of funny because right after it happened, so he sticks the guy up on the wall, stabs him, and then, you know, the guy is just perfectly straight hanging up on the wall with this one knife through his chest. And right about the time he steps back, I'm like, me and Jackson both made a comment about like, oh, that's impressive or something. And then Michael Myers is standing there and kind of cocks his head to the side. We're like, oh, he's thinking the same thing.
He's like, how's it not falling?
How did I do that?
Yeah.
But no, it was like he stood back and was either like admiring what he did, or it was just this moment of like him. It was like 5 or 6 seconds of him just standing there like staring at this body that he just killed. Like,
yeah, it was just that blank silence.
Yeah, nothing else was. I don't think there was music or anything in the background. He was just standing there staring at him. It was just weird.
Yeah. What would you say would be the scariest moment from the movie?
Oh gosh. I would think the part whenever Loomis and the police sheriff went back to the Myers house, and whenever Loomis was kind of talking about him there, that was kind of the moment that made me feel really uneasy. And then whenever they were walking through the graveyard and realized that he had been there and stole his sister's gravestone, I don't know why. Just the fact that he was like, oh, he's been here already. Like, just... Right. I don't know. Any time that Loomis was like, oh, he's been here already, or oh, you know, he ate a dog because he was hungry, like any of those kind of comments just... Yeah. They hit me the hardest. It was just like the little subtle comments or like the little things of like... that, and then the part whenever they were standing in front of the store that got broken into, and like Loomis and the sheriff are sitting there talking, and you just see him drive by in a car. Yeah, just in the background. Like you just see him like he just like stops at the stop sign and then turns by, and you're like looks both ways, just in the background while Loomis is talking to him. Yeah, that was pretty creepy. Yeah, and it wasn't creepy. I don't know why. That was just like the part that stuck out to me because I was like, he's right there. Like turn around. I think because they do a lot of those situations where it's like anytime you do see him, they make a point to whenever somebody looks at the window. There he is. Music kicks on. Yeah. Or the dawn as you see him. It's the times... Wait, what was the word that it was using? Abrasive synth or something like that. Every time they would come on. Yeah. I watched TV with subtitles, so that's why it said that. It was the times when that didn't happen. When it was just walking around and just casually noticing in the background the camera doesn't pay like any like special attention to it. There's no music. You just look over and he's just staring out of the window. 2 or 3 times where it's just it would happen and you would see him and it's like no one was paying attention to the move. Like it wasn't making a point to point him out. Yeah. And I think that was the creepiest things. But it was the fact that he was he was pretty much in every scene. Like he was always there. Yeah, right from the first. Yeah. It's like right from the get go. It's like he was always there, and I think that's why I love the pace of this movie. Is that right from the start, it establishes this uneasy feeling, and then for the whole movie he's there. Yeah. And you never feel comfortable or like you can never truly. There's never a minute whenever you're like, oh, okay, they're safe right now. Yeah, or just sit back and relax and watch the film and be like, oh, that's pretty fun. Like for the whole movie, you're just on the edge of your seat because they established right off the bat that he's there. And he's evil. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the thing with like other horror movies too, is like a lot of times nothing happens until the end of the movie. Right. So through the whole movie, like it's just like fake jump scares, like a cat jumping in a window or something that makes you like, but it's nothing. There was I don't think there was any really jump scares in this movie, unless there was the part. Well, I think there's a lot of Michael Myers. Like, I was about to say my scariest scene for me was a jump scare, and it was like the first few minutes. We're watching Michael Myers, Laurie look out the window and see Michael Myers over there in his car, and then look back and he's gone. And then the very next scene, you have the kids who are bullying Tommy, and they push him over to this pumpkin, and he runs around, and all of a sudden, he's there. Like, Michael Myers is there. And it's like, we go from just kind of pointing out in the background to one scene later, he's there. And all of a sudden, it's like he's a part, like it's more a part of the movie. He's not just a thing, part of the background. Yeah. He's actually interacting with the character and like tracking Tommy as he's walking. Like to me, that was like, whoa. Yeah. It was just something about that quick introduction. You had the music kick on the as he like grabbed the kid, and then you're like, what's he about to do to him? And he just kind of casually lets him go. Then like that whole scene right there, like that's what he said. You're not a teenage girl. You're not having sex. Yours sounds like a lot more profound than mine. I like part where he ate a dog. But that's what I was also saying is that in those sex scenes, it was never just like used for any reason, just like, oh, let's have sex scenes. It's like, all right, here's the next part of a script. What we have here, maybe a sex scene, so we'll write a sex scene. Yeah, we kind of have a lull right here. Like, we don't really need the killer right now, so what should we put here? How about some tits? Tits? Boobies are good. One fat guy, I like boobies. All right, we'll mark down boobies here. We have boobies a few pages back, though. Do we really want to use that again? Yes. Yes. I have a dick every once in a while. No.
Yeah, no dick.
Nobody wants to see that.
What are you, gay? No one wants to see dicks.
Man, we're not gay here.
Are you gay?
Get your dicks out of here.
So when they were using the sex scenes in the movie, there was always something else going on.
Yeah.
In that scene. So it was never just like sex scene for the purpose of having a sex scene. It was sex scene
For the purpose of killing somebody.
yeah, sex scene, and then while it's going on, there's something else in the scene. Not only was Michael Myers probably in the room watching creepily in the corner, but like in the one scene you had Bob that unhooked
he
the phone
took the
and
phone
set
off.
the phone out. You're
And
like,
so then later, whenever Lori was trying to call to check on him, like she couldn't get the phone through because he had taken it off the hook.
yeah, like a dummy.
God, what an idiot.
Final scores. What would you give Halloween?
9.5 out of 10. I'm taking away the 5 because I felt like a little bit of blood could make the kills more believable. And I didn't really love the acting during the kills. I found it more laughable than like anything.
Which is,
honestly.
I think the acting for the most part is really good.
No, yeah. So the actors
The
did what they could. The one blonde girl who said "totally" after every other word, though, that
honestly,
was the only like character personality they gave her.
I know. That's what I was thinking. Like, but it's not her fault.
Yeah.
That was just older people writing for younger people.
Yeah,
and
and
not
they're like, what do
knowing
young
her
people say?
personality
What
is.
would a young blonde cheerleader say? Oh,
Yeah,
totally.
but she was definitely my least favorite of the three.
Oh yeah, definitely. I liked Annie's character. She was kind of sassy and snarky, and I thought she worked really well. And then Laurie's character was fine.
Yeah.
I liked their characters, and I think they did well with what they had. But again, the death scenes just weren't believable. They were way too over the top, and I think it was because they were overcompensating because there was no blood.
Right.
I think if they had just a little bit with the knife slices, we would have done good.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that the no blood, I like it.
It sets it apart because it's kind of nice to be like, oh yeah, we watched a horror movie with no gore. I don't like heavy gore.
Ooh, that was weird.
That was weird.
That's closed out pretty quick.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it needed any blood or gore necessarily, because to me, it's very easy to cross that limit of just, it's not really
No,
believable.
definitely, and that's one of the reasons why horror
And there
movies
wasn't a
aren't
whole
my
lot of-
favorite, was because sometimes they're just so gory that I cannot sit through them and be okay.
Yeah.
I have a very weak stomach, so, but I just, and it's weird for me to say that like I needed the gore, but just a little bit of blood on the knife slices just to make it a little bit more,
Right.
I think it would have elevated it and made it even scarier.
Okay.
That's how I
fair.
feel.
It's fair.
Mhm.
I would disagree only because I don't know of any of the kills that could have really used the blood.
Mhm.
I mean, you have the throat slit
Yeah.
in the first kill, but even then, it's kind of concealed in the car, so you really couldn't see it. Then you had him strangling her with the phone cord.
Yeah, you couldn't have used blood there.
Which to me was the worst kill.
Yeah.
I didn't like that one. It was over.
Yeah.
That was when the overacting was at its worst.
It was like they were trying to make like a sex scene, but just way more over the top is what most of the girls sounded like whenever they were being strangled with something.
Yeah.
Like they were, I don't know, it was just laughable.
Hello? All right, Annie. First I get your famous chewing, now I get your famous squealing.
Like the noises weren't necessary, not
Yeah.
that many.
Like, I think the
Okay.
kills would have been more effective. It didn't need the blood, didn't need the gore. It just needed to be faster.
Yeah.
Like, if he just
Yes,
grabbed
okay,
her
so
and then
that would
slit
have
the
worked
net,
too.
it would have, yeah, to me, it would have been more effective
Or if he would
than
just wrap the phone cord and she was just kind of like silently gagging or something.
Yeah.
Like that would have been more believable too. Rather than all of the exaggerated like squeals and yells and stuff. Like if he would have just
Right.
wrapped it and held it tight enough where she couldn't breathe.
Yeah, like Bob's kill.
Bob's
I
kill
think
was fine.
I think that the weird way that he sticked in the wall was kind of odd, but I think the kill went smoothly. It was
Yeah.
quick. He came out of the closet or whatever super fast, grabbed him,
Choked
held
him,
him up,
stabbed him.
then just stepped back and admired it,
Yeah.
and then walked away.
Yeah,
That
his was
was
the
like
best
a
because it
perfectly
was fast.
paced kill. Yeah.
I will agree.
And they
Also,
never
my
do it.
second favorite part of the movie, what did I say my first favorite part was? I don't know. One of my favorite parts was whenever, after he killed Bob and he went back up into the room where Linda was, and he had the sheet over it
Yeah,
and glasses.
the glasses.
And so Linda was like, what are you doing? And he just stood there.
All right, come on, where's my beer? Well, can't you answer me?
That was.
And she was like talking to him and like, are you gonna come in the room? Are we gonna? And he was just standing there.
That was like the oddest one.
It was
like,
just so awkward. Like, he just stood
like,
there.
how would you think to do that? I think it would have been scarier if he was just there
Yeah, and she was like, why are you wearing a stupid mask?
or something like that. Where'd you get that? Or something like that. Like,
No,
I feel like
I
that
don't
would
know.
have
The
been
sheet was just
scarier. The
funny.
sheet just came out of left field. Like, how from the rest of. I guess
I wanna
he
know
knew
what
how
his
to drive a
thought
car.
process was.
That's exactly, yeah, the thought
Like,
process of that.
what was he trying to do? Was he trying to, like, I don't know, I guess trick her? Because he had Bob's glasses on over the sheet.
Yeah.
Like, Bob wouldn't have put his glasses on over the sheet. He would have had his glasses under the sheet with his face.
Yeah. I would give Halloween... Yeah, I'd guess the same 9.5.
So if you
I'm
haven't
close
seen
to
the
giving it a
movie,
10.
you basically have, because we just explained everything.
Although, you know what?
But please watch it.
I would give Halloween a 10.
Yeah?
I would give it a 10 because even though there were some things that were kind of goofy, the kills are a little over dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the fact that it was made for so little money,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact they got great actors. I mean, Friday the 13th, the first Friday the 13th was made with more money than Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
And that movie,
And I remember Friday the
acting-wise,
13th. I didn't like it very much, I don't think. I think it
The-
was very slow.
acting-wise in that movie, to me, it's been a while since I've seen Friday the 13th, the original one, the first one. But acting-wise, this movie is leagues above that one.
Oh, yeah.
And it only had a few actors, and they all did good for the most part, especially with the money. So even
I would
with
agree.
like little things, I would excuse it because they're working with such a small budget and so small amount of money, and they were able to do some really creative stuff, like the one shot take through the house. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it levels out, and I don't think there's any Halloween movie that can top this one or come close to it. So to me, I would have to give it a 10 because this is like the benchmark, like perfect Halloween film.
Yeah.
All the Halloween films kind of strive to be like this one.
Yeah,
in my opinion,
and I kind of feel like a lot of like future horror movies,
horror films
like
in general,
they
yeah.
copied off of those same cliches, and
This is what
it kind of started everything.
this-
I feel like
This, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I guess technically Psycho. I don't really count Psycho.
Psycho
Halloween,
was a good movie.
it was really good. But Halloween and Texas Chainsaw Massacre are really the two movies that started the whole slasher genre. Like Halloween in particular, when this movie came out,
Yeah.
that's when Friday the 13th picked up because it's like, oh, we got to capitalize
Slashers,
on that.
that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Let's capitalize on serial killers.
So Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Psycho, I
And
think
they just
were
feel more
technically
real
first.
because they're things
Psycho in
that could
particular.
really happen or have really happened, like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
all like that one was based on true stories.
Yeah.
So it always gives you like a more of a
Yeah. The
like
others,
those movies scare me more than like the I don't know, possession movies and ghost movies. Like, you know, I
Right.
just feel like the slasher and serial killer things are so much more
and it's sad
more
'cause
likely to happen.
after
to me.
these, like Halloween to me was like the last great slasher film because after that it became kind of a parody where it's like, oh, we're gonna have as much blood and tits and stuff
Yeah.
as possible, and it kind of lost what made Halloween and Texas Chainsaw Massacre so scary. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It kind of skipped out on the silent kills, and we gotta up the gore. Let's
add in
make
some
it bloody.
chainsaws.
Yeah, let's make one scene where he cuts off a girl's tit and grills it. So yeah, in my opinion, I'll give this movie a 10.
Yeah, it was a very good movie. I did like it, and I'm excited to see the other ones because I don't remember them at all. I feel like we watched them, but
To me,
then again,
to
not
me,
sure.
Halloween in general is a more consistent
Mm-hmm.
series than a lot of other slasher films, but it definitely.
And they did the remake. Was it last year or the year before?
The remake was in 2018.
Okay, so like, oh wow.
Yeah, and
Okay,
the next one,
2 years
Halloween
ago.
Kills, comes out this year. So the plan is we're gonna do a Halloween film leading up to it.
And we
we're
haven't
still.
seen the newer remake, the 2018 one,
I
right?
have.
Neither one of us. Oh, I thought you didn't see it.
No, I haven't seen Halloween Kills though.
Well, no, it hasn't come out yet.
Yeah.
I thought you didn't watch it. I thought we were gonna watch it together.
No, when did we ever decide that? No, I watched
No.
it back when it came out in theaters.
Really?
Uh-huh.
You went to theaters?
Uh huh.
Oh.
You're welcome.
Was it gory? Like, did they?
I
up
don't
the gore and
remember it
tits?
really, but I don't think so. I don't think it was very gory. I could be wrong though.
Yeah.
It's been a while
I
since
would
I've
like
seen
to see them remake it and do it without the blood again.
Now the Rob Zombie films, those are gory.
See, what's funny is
If I
I
remember right on
listen to
those.
Rob Zombie's music, but I've never seen a single one of his films.
He did House of a Thousand Corpses.
Never seen it.
It was okay.
Hmm.
And then I saw Halloween films. Those are the only ones I know or that I've seen of his.
Living Dead. I just choked on my spit. Living Dead Girl is a really good song. You should look that one up.
Living Dead Girl. Yeah, no, thank you. Okie dokie. That concludes this episode of the Rosas podcast.
I feel like we did really good. We talked a lot.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. If
Or
you guys
listening.
enjoyed the video, you guys can give us a like. If you enjoyed listening to it, you can follow us. And if you want to hear more or see more, you can subscribe. We post 2 times a day. 2 times a...
No, we don't.
I don't know why I said that. I meant...
We don't even post 2 times a month, hardly.
I was trying to say that. We post 2 times a month. And I said... Okay, thank you guys. Goodbye.